wind monitoring study is part of FutureGrid, and the idea is that we're going to measure the wind resource in around Alice Springs, and the purpose is to get a sense of whether wind energy or wind renewable energy is a viable option in Alice Springs as an alternative to solar. The technology being used is SODAR, so this is a SODAR wind monitoring unit, and how it works is that it emits a beep every sort of 10 seconds and measures the echoes, and from the echoes of those beeps it can sort of determine what the air pressure is in a volume of the sky and how fast and what direction the wind's going. We selected two locations to put the wind, to put the equipment. So one is right here at the Desert Knowledge Solar Centre, and the reason why we're putting it here is because we've been monitoring the wind at ground level for a long time, and we'll be able to use that to correlate the wind up at altitude later on. We've also got another identical unit down at On Springs Power Station. So the reason why wind hasn't been considered before for Alice Springs is essentially because the combination of the cost of wind generation and the availability of the wind resource in Alice Springs has sort of meant that it's not competitive with solar. But the cost of wind generation has been falling steadily, so at some point we will get to a point where it should be reasonable and a sort of viable alternative to solar. And the purpose of this trial is to assess whether the math works out now. The way that wind can complement solar is, from the results of this trial, we work out that wind generates at times when the sun isn't shining, so at night, and especially in the early morning and late evening. Then that sort of complementarity will work really well. It will mean that we're not just relying on more and more solar on rooftops to get to higher renewable energy fractions for the entire town. If we can sort of have some renewable generation happening at other times, then it just makes it a whole lot easier to get to 50% renewable. No one knows for sure because it's very hard to measure how much solar is being generated from all the rooftop PV systems. But we think we're somewhere between 10 and 15% renewable energy over the course of a year. We can keep putting more solar on top of roofs and put large solar farms out there, and that sort of method we might be able to get to sort of 30–40%. But it's really impossible to get much more than that without either a whole lot more energy storage, so that we can sort of store solar energy and dispatch it at night. Or alternatively, we could have another source of renewable energy generation, and that's what the wind's there for. So if we did that, then we should be able to get to 50% quite easily with just a combination of solar and wind. At the end of the trial, after we've done the wind monitoring, we'll do a sort of financial model, and we'll do an assessment of whether we think wind generation is a viable option in Alice Springs, and we'll make the wind data as well as the report from that public at the end of the trial.